Good evening there, everybody. What is happening? Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful day today. So, when it comes down to it, I thought that I would review this little video or review this little topic that I found very particularly interesting. And this is going to be a topic over Mr. Shakur Stevenson. And just a little bit of a backstory on this story before I really go into it, just to talk about my channel first, and then I'll go into Mr. Dante's Boxing Nation, who I have tended to review actually quite a few times. I've been doing this channel now for the past 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, and basically everything that I state on this channel, I believe can somewhat be backed up with some sort of logic or objective factual information. I sometimes get certain people in here that believe that I have a racial issue, or I don't know, they say that you're just hating on some of these channels. Once again, I don't get into the pro-racial bullshit. I don't get into the fanboy shit, and I'm not trying to hate on anybody. To be honest with you, I believe that all those things are beneath me. I do not overall have the time to waste with any of that shit. The reason overall why I like to do videos like these, especially reviewing certain videos maybe of other channels, is to expose certain narratives that I believe are a little bit out of proportion. Because it's very, very important in my view to go over certain things and put them in their proper perspective. Because if you don't, there's going to be a certain amount of people for years and years that believe all in all that that is the actual truth, when in fact, more than likely, it probably isn't. So overall, that is the reason why I go over a certain amount of videos, and that's why I go over a certain amount of points. That's why I like to counter a certain amount of double standards or certain videos that I believe are not the most logical and objective. And one of the channels that I tend to review over and over again is that of Mr. Dante's Boxing Nation. And I've been saying this for the past 2 years, ever since that I've really started to create this channel. Dante's Boxing Nation has never really been that logical and objective. He is not a logical and objective person. Basically, all he is the Pro Black Fighters League. And Dante's Boxing Nation, as of recent, and not only Dante, but a lot of his commentators, a lot of the people that follow him, he, of course, Mr. Shakur Stevenson, is basically under a lot of heat with that of new media and the LDBC right now. And the reason why that is because he gave credit to a Mexican fighter, I believe, by the name of Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez. And for those of you that don't know who Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez is, Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez recently had a very great performance over the former pound for pound fighter and over the former champion, I believe, within those weight classes. I don't remember exactly which one it is, Mr. Sarungbisai, who was a Thailand fighter, who was the first one, I believe, to defeat overall the decently great Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. And Shakur Stevenson took a look at the performance that Mr. Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez had, and keep in mind that Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez, to this day, I believe is the only one to knock out Sarungbisai. Not even Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez or Juan Francisco Estrada could even do that, at least from what I remember. So what Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez was able to do was actually very, very decently special, at least from what I've seen. And Shakur Stevenson said, wow, this kid is really special. One of these days, he may be top, pound for pound, or all in all, give him a couple of years. I believe that he may even beat Naiwa in a way. And Mr. Dante's Boxing Nation and new media, of course, did not like that because, once again, they're the Pro Black Fighters League, and they said, Mr. Shakur, why are you giving, a Mexican fighter that much credit? Why are you saying later on that he could be future pound for pound and all sort of stuff? Because eventually, ESPN, which of course they believe to be racially motivated, which they certainly can be at times, there's no doubt about it. Basically what Dante and the new media is saying is that, Shakur, why would you say that? Because you giving credit to this Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez dude, they're going to eventually surpass you overall with this guy if they can, because they don't want that many black fighters on the pound for pound list. And listen, I don't always agree with Mr. Dante's point about that. I think that overall he tries to use that card a little bit too much. But is there such a thing as putting certain fighters on the list, maybe overall to not have as many black fighters on the list? There is such a thing as that, but you have to know the difference between someone who actually deserves to be there and someone who does not deserve to be there. And if you're a person that, all in all, is basically saying that Shakur Stevenson cannot speak his mind about Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez just based off of overall what ESPN is going to rank, what does that really say overall about how you feel about yourself? And all in all, basically what that states is that you care a little bit too much about what ESPN thinks about black fighters. Now, don't get me wrong, when it comes down to it, is it important to talk about certain double standards or narratives that you may see that you believe all in all are not correct when it comes to ESPN. Yes, just like I do when it comes to Dante's Boxing Nation or that of a Boxing Ego. But if you're telling Shakur Stevenson basically not to give credit or not to speak his mind about Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez, just because eventually one day they may surpass, Shakur Stevenson with Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez on the list, what that tells me is that you care about ESPN's opinion a little bit too much. And that's the thing about Dante's Boxing Nation. He basically takes a look at ESPN and he takes a look at a certain amount of these guys, who may have a racial issue just like he does. But he takes a look at the Caucasoid and he takes a look at the Latino fans that may have a racial issue. And he basically wants to be loved by them. He basically overall wants black fighters to be loved by them. And it's not going to happen. It just is what it is. Dante's Boxing Nation, he takes a look at them and he says, why don't you love us? Why don't you love our fighters? Why are they in America and you still don't like our fighters? Why overall is that happening? Well, listen, there's just going to be a certain amount of people, in life, and we all have to deal with this a certain amount of the time, that don't like us. The more that you beg for their attention, or the more that you ask the question, why don't you like me? Why don't you like me? The less respect that they have for you. It just is what it is. And that's what Dante's Boxing Nation is never going to get. It just is what it is. The more that basically you say, why don't they like us? Why doesn't this happen? The more overall, the less respect that they really have for you. And Shakur Stevenson, all he did was give a fighter by the name of Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez credit. And you know what? I have to give a great amount of applause to Mr. Shakur Stevenson, because what Shakur Stevenson basically said to that new media, because of the things that they were alleging about him, which is basically that he was somewhat of an Uncle Tom, Shakur Stevenson basically gave them a big middle finger and said, fuck off. So I have to give him a great amount of credit, because there's a certain amount of black athletes or black fighters that may have overall crumbled, under this type of pressure. Because that is one of the main groups that will go after you, especially if you are a black athlete or overall if you are a black fighter. And if you say something that they don't like, the Pro-Black Fighters League or the Pro-Black Mafia will come after you. It's almost kind of like the Colin Kaepernick situation. Anyone who did not agree, anyone who was a black NFL player that did not agree that Colin Kaepernick should be back in the league, I do not believe that Colin Kaepernick should be back in the league either, because he can't play. But it just is what it is, at least not anymore at the current juncture. When it comes down to it, anyone who basically said that they did not believe Colin Kaepernick was that good, they basically called them a coon or they called them an Uncle Tom. So a lot of black athletes, not only do they receive a certain amount of double standards and pressure by that of maybe other demographics, but they also receive it from their own. So it is what it is. And that's what Shakur Stevenson had to deal with a certain amount in this topic. But anyways, we're going to see what Mr. Shakur Stevenson had to say. Let's get into it.
I used to rock with you, bruh. I don't rock with you, bruh. That's crazy, bro. I used to rock with you. I was one of the first people who, supported your page, backed you, all types of shit. Now you motherfucking keep getting on this YouTube and keep motherfucking talking all types of crazy about me, and I don't understand that shit, because it's I really used to back you crazy. I ain't never had no bad energy for you. For anybody that worked for you, ask the light-skinned dude that be recording for you. I always show him love. I always tell him.
He said the light-skinned dude that be recording for you. I wonder if he's talking about Aki TV there. The Arab man who thinks that he's black. Or tries his best to act black. Anyway.
Get the line.
He's like the Arab version of Michael Rappaport.
Pull up, I do interviews, all types of shit. When motherfucking you first started your page, you put me and Devin out there on the sparring videos. I support it. I appreciate it. It was all love. Now you motherfucking getting on YouTube and keep motherfucking talking crazy. Motherfucker say, I ain't for my people. How the fuck I'm not for my people, bruh?
I have two... before overall we get past his ad, and I agree with Mr. Shakur. I applaud Shakur Stevenson for stating this, because once again, and I stated this in a multitude of my videos, whenever Dante always tries to make the point that these certain black fighters that either give Canelo Alvarez credit or other fighters credit, he basically says the only reason why they do that is because they're trying to appease that of the Caucasoid or that of the Latino fans. And I already stated that in my opinion that is actually insulting towards overall that of black fighters that put that opinion out there. And you're talking about Shakur Stevenson, a man that or a kid, however old he is. You're talking about him, all in all, a person that is a very young fighter, and he already has alleged that there has been a multitude of racial injustices in that of boxing. Shakur Stevenson not only alleged that Bob Arum, the president of Top Rank when it comes down to it, or the CEO, not only did he allege that he had a racial issue, he also alleged that, a lot of boxing, they do not like black fighters and they have a certain issue with them. He is also a person that, and he's going to mention this later on in the video, that when he came out with his top 5 pound for pound list earlier on just this year, I believe that almost every single, if not every single one of those fighters on the list were that of black American fighters. So Shakur Stevenson, just because he gave credit to that of Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez and Tyson Fury, that does not mean that he's not for his people. What that just means is that Shakur Stevenson, that basically he does not care what people think, that he's going to put his opinion out there. And for that reason, I have to give Shakur Stevenson a great amount of credit. That means that he is an individual thinker. That means, all in all, that at least in his mind, he is thinking somewhat logical and objective, and he don't really give a shit overall what that of ESPN or a certain amount of these other guys think about him. He's going to state his opinion. He does not give a shit about where they rank him. Basically, the fighters that he gives credit to, he gives credit because he believes that that fighter is special. And he's not thinking on the bitch-ass emotional level of, well, you know what? I'm going to treat them the same way, all in all. If they don't give us, our credit, I'm not going to give those fighters credit. Because when you're a logical and objective thinker, and don't get me wrong, sometimes it is important to treat people with the same energy that you got in the first place. I understand. But if you're supposed to be a logical and objective channel, and if your mindset, and this is exactly what their mindset is, if your mindset is basically, well, I'm not going to give their fighters credit because they don't give our fighters credit, that's cool if you want to do that, but then don't call yourself a person that tells the whole truth. Don't call yourself a person that, all in all, is a logical and objective thinker, because you are not that. There's a certain amount of people that have had to deal with certain things, and you have to rank things logically and objectively. You cannot think on an emotional level. All right, and Shakur Stevenson knows that there is double standards against black fighters in boxing, at least at times, and he still overall was able to move past that and give Tyson Fury and Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez credit, because he does not think on the fanboy over emotional ass level. He talks with logic and objectivity, at least in my opinion, and he is an individual thinker. He does not care overall what you think. And then that is that reason why I have to give Shakur Stevenson a hell of a lot of credit, because most people are not individual thinkers.
Written rules. All right, so look, there's a hidden gem among all of these sketchy money-making apps, right? It's called Just Play.
Me? This nigga said, this motherfucker said because of, basically, I support Bam. Lil Bam. He say, what he say? He say, I look up to Bam and I support Bam more than I support myself, or some shit like that. Like, what? Bro, the little dude nice, bro. I respect skills, bro. It don't got nothing to do with race. He saying I'm saying it because I wanna have my Mexican fan base. I wanna keep the Mexican fan base thumping like, hey, y'all support me, but it's still like, yo, I don't care what it is, bro.
Let me state this really quickly, because is there such a thing as maybe black fighters, or maybe certain people overall trying to kiss up, or maybe overall appease a certain demographic? Yes, there is such a thing as that. Like when you take a look at Max Kellerman, for example, who of course I believe is a Caucasian Jew, who used to be on ESPN First Take. Max Kellerman would always try to go on his bullshit liberal ideologies overall just to get invited to the black cookout. Max Kellerman overall, he usually would get even more praise from that of the pro-blacks overall than what Stephen A. Smith would say, because Max Kellerman, of course, is on those bullshit liberal ideologies. And that of the pro-black fighters league, they're all about those liberal ideologies. It just is what it is. So is there such a thing as certain demographics trying to kiss up to another demographic? Yes, there is, but do I believe that is a situation with that is Shakur Stevenson? No, I don't. I don't believe that is it.
At the end of the day, bro, I support skills at the end of the day. Lil Bam can fight.
I agree, Mr. Shakur Stevenson, and I applaud you. Because when you're once again when you're a logical and objective thinker and an individual thinker, you really don't give a shit what people overall have to say, at least to a certain degree. If you know that you're decently intelligent enough and you know overall what you're watching. So once again, I give a great round of applause to Mr. Shakur Stevenson because there's a certain amount of athletes that maybe would have crumbled under that type of pressure, and he did not. He basically said, all in all, that I support skills, that I'm going to give him credit. I am not going to let overall what ESPN or what some of those other guys think about me dictate overall what I believe is a great talent and a great fighter. So overall, great credit to Mr. Shakur Stevenson.
When I speak on Boots, Boots can fight. When I speak on Keyshawn, Keyshawn can fight.
Yeah, and that's another thing as well. Dante was always also trying to make the equation that Shakur Stevenson allegedly did not, that he would, some of these black fighters, they don't ever give as much praise to each other. How is that even possible? Shakur Stevenson has stated a multitude of times that he believes that Terrence Crawford is the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. I've seen him give praise to Jerron Boots Ennis, I believe Jermell Charlo. And I've seen him give credit over, I believe, to that of a certain amount of other fighters, Javante Tank Davis and a few others. So this point that Dante is trying to make, that Shakur Stevenson, the reason why he's giving credit to Canelo and some of these other fighters, Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez and Tyson Fury, is because he's trying to appease a fan base. That doesn't make any sense. Because Shakur Stevenson, once again, he's been one of the guys out there that has alleged against racial injustices when it comes down to it, and said that there's been double standards against that of black fighters. So Shakur Stevenson really giving compliments to Canelo Alvarez, or really giving compliments overall to Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez or Tyson Fury because he's trying to appease someone, or is he saying it all in all because that's what he truly thinks?
You say, why, I don't give praise to Boots. When I got on ESPN, I did my top 5 boxers in boxing. Boots was on my list, right? Everybody on my list was black, all black fighters. It was me, Bud. I think.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, overall, for saying that, because once again, Dante is trying to make this bullshit point about how allegedly you're trying to appeal the fan base. Once again, Shakur Stevenson don't give a shit. he doesn't care. He's not trying to appease anyone when it comes down to it. It was just his logical and objective opinion. That's why I applaud him. Because so many people, all in all, especially when they feel the coals under their feet when it comes down to it, when people overhold the coals to their feet, they kind of break under that pressure. Shakur Stevenson did not. And he basically said, F you all, I support skills, and overall I'm going to put my logical and objective opinion out there. And he's not the only one that's done it. Andre Ward has done that as well, and a certain amount of other fighters. That's what happens when you think on the higher level and you're more logical and objective.
Tank might have been up there. I think I might have put Canelo. Canelo probably been the only fighter I put up there type shit.
Well, you can't do that, Mr. Shakur Stevenson, because allegedly, according to Dante's Boxing Nation, the only reason why Canelo Alvarez is so high in the pound-for-pound list is because he has the complexion for the protection. Once again, let me state this. The complexion for the protection, it is something that can be real. But don't sit here and tell me a fighter like Canelo or a Tyson Fury or Alexander Usyk or someone like that, don't sit here and tell me that the only reason why those fighters are ranked on a pound-for-pound list is just because they have the complexion for the protection. Because you have to take a look at a difference between someone that is ranked purely overall, maybe off of a little bit of hype and maybe because they do have the complexion for the protection, and someone who actually has results. When you take a look at Tommy Morrison, for example, a fighter that was fighting back in the 80s and 90s, I believe, that was someone overall that was mainly fighting a lot of, hype jobs or bums, and then he finally got in the ring with real fighters, and then he started losing. That was a person, all in all, that was ranked and promoted as highly because he had the complexion for the protection. But fighters like Canelo Alvarez and Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, these are real deal fighters. These are fighters, all in all, that have accomplished a whole lot, that have won a multitude of belts within their career and have decent resumes. So don't try to spread this bullshit about how, all black fighters are, the only reason why they give these guys is praise because they don't see the double standards. Like, what are you talking about? Shakur Stevenson, once again, has been one of the black fighters that has alleged a multitude of times that apparently that there has been double standards against black fighters. It's like, dude, what are you talking about?
Not no motherfucking against. Then this motherfucker said, go look at my page. He said, He said I got a video pinned to my profile, basically, that I got me punching Jamel, beating up Jamel, but I don't got a video of me beating up Valdez pinned to my profile because it'll make the Mexican fan base mad. Like, what? Come on, bro. Like, I just enjoyed my performance with Jamel where I was basically putting hands on Jamel with all due respect.
Yes, good point, Shakur, and I understand Dante's point with that, but once again, I don't understand how you can allege that Shakur Stevenson is allegedly not not knowing the racial double standards. So once again, he's alleged that there's been a certain amount of racial double standards several different times. But on top of that, when it comes down to just to mention this point, if we also were to take it on another level, it's very possible also that Mr. Shakur Stevenson may take that Jamel Herring win a little bit more personally. Why is that? Because not only was that the first major fight of his career, but on top of that, Jamel Herring and Shakur Stevenson used to be somewhat of gym mates. For those of you that don't know, Shakur Stevenson is very good friends with Terrence Bud Crawford. They're best friends. And Mr. Jamel Herring was trained by Brian McIntyre, overall, who of course is Terrence Bud Crawford's trainer, I believe, and gym partner. And Jamel Herring was trained by him as well. And Shakur Stevenson spars a little bit with Terrence Crawford, and he goes to that gym. So I'm sure that, they were somewhat of gym buddies until they realized that eventually they were going to have to face each other. And sometimes when you get competitive, that sometimes when it's against your friend, or sometimes when it is against a former friend, that sometimes that can be a little bit more important overall than someone that you don't really know.
Hey, I don't got nothing bad to say. I talk to Jamel every now and then. Like, I'm cool with him. Like, we don't got no beef, nothing. But I was basically putting hands on him, so I liked that video, so I pinned it to my profile. I ain't posted on no dumb shit like motherfucking, oh, I want to keep my Mexican fan base happy. I'm not gonna motherfucking post the video of me and Valdez. I don't even got a highlight video of me and motherfucking Valdez, bro. Like, truth be told, I see it on YouTube. That is one of my favorite fights. Don't get me wrong. I just felt like offensively, I was punching on Jamel more than I got a chance to really, Valdez was giving me more so like a weird kind of defense. Yeah, give me like four of them. That sounds good. But man, back to him, like man, I don't be getting this shit. Like I just be feeling like motherfucking people just be saying anything. Like you reaching, bro. Like why you gotta reach on me, bro? I'm really like solid dude.
Well, the reason why they're reaching Mr. Shakur is because to allege, all in all, the reason why they're calling you basically an Uncle Tom is because they're afraid that ESPN is going to put Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez or Canelo. They're basically taking a look at you and saying, see, this is the reason why we have to deal with certain fighters like Usyk and Lomachenko and Canelo Alvarez on the pound-for-pound list. Listen, I understand certain fighters that maybe don't deserve to be on the pound-for-pound list. Like Vasily Lomachenko, in my opinion, right now, does not deserve to be on the pound-for-pound list. But when it comes down to it, all in all, when you talk about Canelo, Usyk, Fury, even a Josh Taylor, or debatably an Artur Beterbiev, you're not going to sit here and tell me fighters with decent results and decent wins in their career that the only reason why they're ranked on the pound-for-pound list is just because they're Caucasian. Like, just stop. That's like me saying, all in all, if we were to go to, basically another sport, now maybe some of these guys aren't as accomplished, but Tiger Woods overall, if we were to talk about him, I'm not a golf, savant necessarily, but there's a lot of people that would debate him as the greatest golfer of all time. To me, it would either be him or Jack Nicklaus or Nicholas, or however you pronounce his name. But I don't know enough about golf. But that's like me saying overall, oh, well, Tiger, he's not really as good as what a lot of people say. He's just hyped up because he's the, first really black man to really be an all-time great in that of golf, at least from what I know. But when it comes down to it, you have to realize that Tiger Woods, that he has a great amount of results. Or that's like a Caucasian when it comes down to it. Going in NFL, and I've seen this a certain amount of times where they'll say that Patrick Mahomes, that he's a little bit hyped up on the know because he's a black quarterback, and I get the mindset. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes, he still has a decent amount of results. He's still one of the greatest talents, and as of right now, one of the decently greater quarterbacks that I've seen. So we have to know the difference between someone that is a little bit more hyped up and someone that actually has results. And overall, if you're a person that is just going to say that Canelo or Usyk or someone like that the only reason why they're up there is because they're Caucasian, no, I'm sorry, sir, I can't agree. Because they actually have actual results.
Bro, I really come from the trenches, bro. Like, I've been taking care of, like, motherfucking my family, people, like, my whole family black. I came up with a black family. Motherfucking, I was raised in Newark, New Jersey. Motherfucking, like, I'm not one of them dudes that gotta motherfucking say some shit to motherfucking for a check or somebody else saying something to me or however. Like, bro, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying everything that I say out of what I see. He was talking about something.
Thank you, sir. Did you hear what he said there? Basically, what he said, and that's what happens when you think overall, once again, on a higher level. What did he say? Basically, what did he just say? I don't talk shit overall just to put useless troll ass shit out there. Everything that I say overall is what I see. That's what he said. It's what I see, and I think very similarly. Everything that I say on this channel is never going to be based on emotion. It's never going to be based overall with some bitch ass over emotional fanboy shit or pro racial shit. I'm never overall going to say that. Whenever I talk about a fighter or an athlete in general, I'm always going to tell you what I personally see. Now, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, that's your prerogative. We're not always going to agree. That is perfectly okay. I have no problem with intelligent disagreements as long as I see that there's a certain amount of facts or maybe a certain, debatable argument that you have. We're not always going to agree. But basically, what your commentary should be based on is what you see and what you think overall is the truth. And a lot of the times, Dante, he doesn't do that. Dante, all in all, will use certain chicanery or he'll use certain double standards because, all in all, he knows that he'll have to deal with some of those fighters later on the pound per pound list, and he does not want that. Once again, they talk so much shit on a fighter, for example, like Canelo Alvarez. They always give Artur Beterbiev and David Benavidez allegedly credit because they want to use them against Canelo Alvarez. But then as soon as some of those fighters could potentially be placed on the top 10 pound per pound list, all of a sudden they don't like those fighters anymore. So what does that tell you about Dante's Boxing Nation and Boxing Eagle and some of those other channels?
I said Tyson Fury could beat Ali. Motherfucker, I just said, honest, and this honest, I never said
life after. This is one of the creepiest mobile games. A post-apocalyptic.
Tyson Fury is more skillful than Ali. I never said none of that. I never said Tyson Fury is better than Ali. I say just because of the size difference. The size difference on motherfucking Tyson Fury and Ali. Tyson Fury 6'9", 290. Ali was like, what?
Yes, and I someone agree with you, Mr. Shakur Stevenson. I don't think that it was any problem at all. So many people, they're not really willing to accept the truth, or they're not really willing to take an argument that goes against overall their emotional narrative or their emotional feelings. Once again, it's almost kind of like in NBA basketball. There's so many people, so many Allen Iverson fans that will always tell you that Allen Iverson was one of the greatest players to ever play, and the only reason why he never won shit was because he didn't have enough help. And listen, Allen Iverson, to a degree, was a great player. But when you start telling the truth on him, then all of a sudden you get a certain amount of people that will go after your ass. Like if I were to basically state, I would probably take someone like a Jason Kidd over an Allen Iverson. You're going to have a certain amount of fanboys on your ass. But the truth is that when we talk about it logically and objectively, Jason Kidd had 2 finals appearances, and he overall basically led the Brooklyn Nets, or not the Brooklyn Nets at the time, they were the New Jersey Nets, I believe, to 2 finals appearances. And I don't even remember that much help that overall he had. Not only that, but he could do more, I believe, than what Allen Iverson could do. And all in all, he was a smarter player, and eventually it led him to becoming a championship caliber player when he won with the Dallas Mavericks, even though he wasn't the same player. I also say in this channel a lot that, in my opinion, that Canelo Alvarez was greater than that of an Oscar De La Hoya, and I get a certain amount of people overall on my ass about that. There's nothing to get emotional about because it can be something that is proven. Now, if we're going to state something to where, if I were to talk about Canelo Alvarez and I said, okay, well, I believe 100% that Canelo Alvarez is greater than that of a Sugar Ray Leonard or that of a Floyd Mayweather Jr. or that overall maybe of a Roberto Duran, something like that, then that's something that maybe would have to be examined because, Canelo, one maybe could argue that he hasn't been on that level or that he hasn't accomplished to be on that level quite as of yet. But you have to know the difference, once again, all in all, between something that can be supported by factual and logical information and someone, all in all, who is just saying something because they're a quote-unquote hater or they have certain plans or machinations behind the scenes. Anyway, or their motivations are deeper than what they say, meaning overall that, they're full of shit. Anyway.
210, 220. Like, he wasn't really like a big heavyweight. So it's like, just putting them.
And basically, what Shakur Stevenson's point was about the Tyson Fury and Muhammad Ali case was that if Muhammad Ali and Tyson Fury got in the ring, and if they were the same size as what they were in both of their primes, he does not know how Ali would win against Tyson Fury, because Fury overall would have, excuse me, he would have a 7-inch reach advantage over Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali's reach, I believe, was a 78-inch reach. He was 6'3". Overall, he weighed about 210, maybe 220 at his heaviest when he was at his prime, at his peak. Tyson Fury is 6'9", 270 pounds, I believe, 280 pounds when it comes down to it. And he's a person all in all that can box his ass off. All right, so at the end of the day, Shakur never said that Tyson Fury was greater than Ali. All he said was that with the style and with his size, it would be very difficult for basically anyone in heavyweight history to beat Tyson Fury. And that's just a fact. It just is what it is. People can like it. They cannot like it. All right, that's just the facts of the situation. Okay? It's just like if we take a look at basketball. So many people overall get over emotional. If you take a look overall and you say, well, maybe this guy, he'd be great in any era. Like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Certain people overall may want to say that, Giannis, that he can't do much and all he can do is dunk and he wouldn't be great in another era, allegedly. Or they talk about Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry is one that I always hear the most shit talked about. They always say about how he couldn't last in another era and all this other bullshit. No, Stephen Curry could last in any era. If you're a great player, you can last in any era. Tyson Fury is the same. All right, Tyson Fury is an all-time great fighter. I know a certain amount of people are not going to agree with that, but he is. He's clearly the best heavyweight of the past 10 plus years. And if he fought anyone within heavyweight history, he would give them hell. Okay? He would give them hell.
Putting them in the same ring together is like a hard, it's gonna be kind of hard for Ali just because of the fact that he's so big, bro. So I don't know, bro. He kept talking all that motherfucking bullshit, bro. Stop talking about me, bro. Stop that, bro. I be showing y'all people too much love for y'all to motherfucking sit there and try to bash me like I'm not for my people. Dude really threw me under the bus on his YouTube channel because he got beef with Top Rank or whatever white people or however it go, you got beef with them. Don't throw me under the bus in the process, bro, because that's contradicting your whole statement. You literally
I agree, sir. Once again, I give you a great round of applause.
On another young black successful athlete under the bus because of the fact that you got beef with them. They put these pound for pound lists together and say this or do whatever. That's not me, bro. It's not me. I feel how I feel about certain situations at the end of the day, but motherfucking man, I'm just saying, man.
Thank you, Mr. Shakur Stevenson. So once again, what did he say? What did he basically say there? I don't give a shit what they rank as pound for pound. Basically what I care about is what I see with my own two eyes, and basically what I see from my logical perspective, or what I see, when I see a decently great fighter, I'm going to say something about it. So once again, I have to give him a great amount of credit, because a lot of times people will be restricted with their opinions depending on what group or demographic they may be a part of. And Shakur Stevenson overall, basically what he said is that, no, I'm going to state the truth, or at least what I personally believe is the truth. So I have to give Shakur Stevenson a great amount of credit there.
Just gotta tell y'all, you feel me? I'm just I don't like people painting narratives about me. Then I see people later on, they gonna be like, oh, well, Shakur, I don't think you're for the culture, or like, nah, I'm for every bit for the culture. Like, come on, like, if y'all rock me from champ side to fight hype to all y'all, like, I really show love, especially like, even like the black media, like, I really show y'all love too. So
I agree. Shakur Stevenson has given overall new media and the LDBC a lot of sparring footage. He's giving them a lot. So once again, to allege that Shakur Stevenson, that he's just trying to appease the Latino and the Caucasian fanboys, he ain't trying to do shit in that category. All Shakur Stevenson did was basically say that he thought Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez was a very special fighter, and they don't like it overall if you're a black fighter and you say that, because overall they don't want to deal overall with those fighters on the pound for pound list later on.
I don't get why you would go on YouTube and put a whole story out about it. Then he posted something 2 weeks ago that I ignored. I done ignored dude. Like, dude posted something and said, what did he say? He say, I don't even talk online. I don't do this. This some new shit to me. But I just want to clear it up. But he said, I did an interview with a racist in Paulie Malignaggi. Yo, I swear to God, even if Paulie is racist, if he not, I don't know. I don't know nothing about him being racist. He hit me up for an interview. I did an interview. I don't know.
Well, the reason why they call Paulie Malignaggi a racist is because in response to Devin Haney's talk, basically saying that he'll never let a white boy beat him when talking about Vasily Lomachenko, and apparently that was not a racial issue to them. Then Paulie came back, and all he stated was that Eastern European boxers were dominating the sport. And that was a time that Vasily Lomachenko and Alexander Usyk were both high in the pound-for-pound list, and Gennady Golovkin was still around. So even what Paulie said was really not all that controversial. Now, if you disagree with him basically saying that Eastern Europeans dominate the sport, no problem with that. I'm not sure if I always 100% agree with that either. But what Paulie really even said was not really even that, badly said. And also, let's keep in mind that they also have a problem with Paulie because I believe that he was stating something against Deontay Wilder with those bullshit-ass narratives that he was coming out. So the Pro Black Fighters League, they're not very big fans of Paulie. So it is what it is. Anyway.
Nothing about none of that. Like, that's not nothing. I don't know if he said something racist. I don't know what y'all got going. I don't know that. That's new to me. So, like, for you to even post that is like trying to put a false narrative about me, basically. Like, I'm rocking with racist dudes and I don't know. I still don't know. I never researched anything about Paulie being racist. I don't know about that. That's nothing I know about, bro. So you going up on motherfucking...
Well, you really can't trust anything that Dante or any of these LDBC and new media channels say because they're in a pro-racial, emotional fanboy perspective. Once again, anything that is said, or if they put Canelo, let's say, for example, on the pound-for-pound list, they're basically going to take that as a personal attack. They have no logic or objectivity. They do not have that type of brainwave. They just don't have it.
YouTube I done ignored you, bro. Like, chill, bro. Like, I'm really, like, you feel me? What you on, bro? Like, come on, Dante. I knew you for a long time. I remember when you was a fucking early on, back when I used to come to Vegas type shit when I was, like, 17 years old, smart, Devin, and all that. Like, I knew you, bro. Chill, bro. Supported you, bro. Been supporting you ever since. Like, motherfucking, every time I see your peoples, we do interviews, whatever. Like, I'm real, bro. I'm real. Like, you feel me? You ain't gotta get on there and do me crazy, bro. I'm a real nigga, bro. Y'all motherfuckers keep motherfucking... I don't know if y'all clout chasing. I don't know what it is, bro. Yeah, Dante's Boxing Nation. Like, yo, bro.
Well, I know what it is, Mr. Shakur, and this is pretty much going to be the last point of the video. Once again, Dante's Boxing Nation cares a little bit too much about what ESPN truly thinks about him and the black fighters. That's truly what it is. But anyways, that's going to be really about overall it for this video. But let me congratulate Mr. Shakur Stevenson overall for basically telling the truth, which is the same thing that I've been saying now for the past 2 years. So certain people overall that come on my channel and say that, oh, it sounds like overall you have a racial issue, or it sounds like all in all when it comes down to that, you're just hating on these channels. Please stop telling me overall that, overall I'm hating on these channels. Take a look overall because I'm clearly not the only one that's stating this shit. Once again, it's very obvious that if you truly know what the hell's going on here, you know what they're about. All right, so it is what it is. But anyways, that's really about it for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all later.